What's going on, Elie?
What's going on, man?
Thanks for so much. I know you just got your badge. You literally just walked right into CMPX. You come here every time, right? Every other year? No.
I've been here every single time it's here.
How long has it been going on, the show?
Quite a long time.
Long time. It's actually, I'll be very honest, it's one of the better shows in Canada.
You have everybody here, from OS&B to Doll to Masters. You got the whole 9 yards.
Everybody's
and it's not
here.
just plumbing, it's the HVAC too. So it's right on for everybody. It gets everyone to get to know each other too. It's nice.
You'll walk around, and I get the sense this year there's probably a lot more mechanical than plumbing today.
So I just found out about something because I used to teach at Humber College, and plumbing used to be a 3-term trade.
Okay.
So you used to do 2 months, every year for 3 years. And what they're doing now is introducing hydronics into the plumbing. And so now, I think the last time I told you, like in Calgary and Alberta, they do gas. So you don't do gas part, but you get the hydronics part of the in-floor heating and things like that.
Yeah.
In a 4th term that starts apparently now in September. So now for you to get your license, you still do the 9,000 or 10,000 hours, depending on which trade. But instead of 3 terms, you're doing 4 terms. The electricians already were on 4 terms.
So, in your opinion, is this a good thing?
I love education. I think you can't learn enough.
Yeah.
I think you learn something new every single day. So why not?
Okay, so it does make sense, right?
I think it's great for, bringing up these young guys. I was watching your thing with Jim Couric and talking about the gap, right? So there is a big gap. He was 100%. I think it was episode 445 or something like that.
Yeah, that late 30s, so late 40s kind of, they're not there.
Right, so I'm turning 40 on Monday. And, I've been in the industry since for the last 24 years. So when you look in the retrospect, when we were in the trades originally, those guys that were teaching us were scared to teach us. They thought that we were going to take over their jobs. Then it was a whole different type of mentality. And now we're getting only 14% of what we used to have starting in. So getting them to understand a little bit more, I think it's going to be a lot for these young guys, because out of that 14%, maybe you'll have, if you're lucky, 50% that are great at it. You just know. It's just a different type of work ethic and everything else. But it is definitely a benefit, because then now you have more outlets. So if you're service plumbing, you're doing HVAC, you're doing a little bit more of, housing, high-rise, commercial. There's more when you have more education.
But are a lot of guys getting into hydronics because of the dollar, or are they getting in because they actually know it?
I think everything is on the dollar. However, you will have 1 or 2 guys that are more interested in certain aspects of the job. So right now, I get probably 10 emails, phone calls, whatever, every single day looking for work, right? And they're all asked for the same thing. Can I get an apprenticeship? We talk about this all the time, right? It's nearly impossible to register kids because of the ratios and everything else. I'm not going to go on about that. But what I do tell people is just get a job. Get a job, get your foot in the door, and the money will come. It automatically does, because we have such a shortage, right? So what I tell this one gentleman, I was interested in hearing what I had to say. I have to get an apprenticeship by summer. I said, buddy, that's like 99% not going to happen. I'll be honest with you up front. Go get your gas ticket. Start with that. Give yourself some ammunition to walk into a company and say, look, I not only did a plumbing in school, I also got now my G3. I'm hardworking. I'm ready to go. Give me a chance. And then it'll give you an opportunity, because now what do you have? You have a little bit of experience. So if you go to a school like, I'm not against Humber and any of the bigger colleges, but if you go to a school like Highmark College, they'll send you out as a co-op placement. You can get paid there, I believe, and get your gas ticket. And now you have experience within a company that didn't have to pay you maybe top dollar to get your foot in the door. So just get your foot in the door is my opinion.
It's actually a good move to do that, right? And what's really involved to get your ticket at that point?
Well, you go to school, but as you're going to school, you just write the exam, right?
That's all it is.
Yeah, but now you have a ticket.
Yeah.
So it's not just, everyone is so focused in on this apprenticeship.
The hours.
The hours, the everything else. But once you have, when you become mechanically inclined, you'll get those hours. And if you have a good employer that does end up registering you, we have a little bit of sway on saying, you know what, this kid has this much potential, he has this much value, we want to grant him 1,000 hours, let's say. At the end of the day, you just got to work for it.
So, I mean, in your opinion, how bad is it out there for these kids? You're getting calls all the time. It's bad, huh?
It's very bad, like beyond bad.
So we talked about, like earlier, we talked about how there's that age gap that Jim brought up, and it's almost like there's a gap between the kids wanting to get in and then the employers letting them in.
Well, we can't. We're handcuffed, right?
Yeah.
But we can bring them on as a helper. We can bring them on as an HVAC technician. We can bring them on as a gas fitter. We can bring them on as a sheet metal specialist, per se. But it can't start off with an apprenticeship yesterday. It doesn't work that way. Like, you're talking Snow White Cinderella story here.
Yeah.
Like, it's impossible.
So what's the solution? I love the solution about getting the ticket, getting other opportunities, learn other things. By all means, please, hopefully you got a driver's license and you have that at least.
Oh, that's another one. So I have a co-op student. I don't know if you guys seen it, but I posted every year, every term, I always take on one co-op student.
Okay.
And some have become something and some haven't. And some just change their mind.
That's just how it is.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
The first question I ask is, do you have a driver's license? How do you want an apprenticeship and not have a driver's
What's
license?
the percentage? What are you getting?
50-50.
50-50 has and don't have.
Yeah, but there's a lot to do with the COVID.
Yeah.
They couldn't go get their licenses
Yeah.
and things like that. And, I hate that word and I hate that time, and I hope we can all forget it eventually. But we're at the tail end of that, and, I pray for these guys.
But that's done right now. So if anything, go get, and it's basically what you're describing, and I agree with you 1,000%. There's little steps of things that you can do that will make you look a lot more attractive to a future employer.
100%.
That's all you got to do. So it's like,
100%.
What am I right now? What do I offer on the table right now? And what could I offer 6 months from now?
Absolutely.
From now until 6 months, what can I do? What would be value for me?
So here's a problem the problem isn't in colleges, because colleges give you that advice because it's us plumbers that are teaching plumbing, or the electricians teaching electricians. So at that point in time, they get this type of advice. The problem is in high school. It's in secondary school.
Okay.
Because you have people trying to get these kids co-ops, but all they're thinking about is getting them a co-op, but they're not giving them guidance. Or maybe they're unaware of how to give them guidance on basically the steps they can take to become valuable.
Yeah.
So then instead of, calling us, and I'm not going to call it a waste of time, but like, let's say taking up our time as a owner of a company or things like that, is maybe bring us into the classroom or ask us what they should be doing rather than just sending them out and like fend for themselves.
Do you think that they don't want to do that? Because I've actually brought that up way back early in my career when I was invited to George Brown just to guest speak, right? But I was invited to George Brown to guest speak talking about marketing yourself, right? And in social media, the early days of social media, right? And I got the sense that some of the instructors at some of these schools don't want the professionals there because I think we're going to, the image of reality is going to be too hard to hear. You know what I mean by that?
Yes. Look at this. We have one of the female plumbers here watching us. How you doing?
I had her on the social hub.
Yeah, with the other two ladies.
Yeah, exactly,
yeah, that's right.
right.
Yeah. They're awesome. I don't think. Listen, we're all in business.
Oh yeah.
School is a business, so you're right about that too, right? But I'm not even talking about the college. I'm talking about the high schools.
But okay, so we know from Canada, talking about here, is that they eliminated all the high school opportunities regarding trades.
Not co-op.
Not co-op though?
No, not co-op.
No, so, co-op they're still doing it because they're connecting it with OYAP and stuff like that. But when I say right. they eliminate the opportunity to learn in the high school environment.
Yeah, they don't do any extracurricular stuff anymore.
They don't do, right? So they basically, as of the 90s, mid-90s, and then all of a sudden you start getting into the tech bubble world, trades wasn't an option at that point. We were still a fallback.
It's funny because the government tries to push the trades, but they don't support it.
That's a good point.
Where's the support? Like, you're asking people, and now, like, the conservatives right now, and I don't want to talk politics because we're here about plumbing, but it all has to do is you got to give people the opportunity. And if the opportunity isn't there, then, you know, what's making them eager to come and do that? What's the benefit?
As a business owner, Elie, like, are you looking at it, are you being discouraged to grow your business because these kids and you are being tied? Like, the kids don't get this opportunity. The ratio is not in favor of you to benefit, and it's being dictated by government that's telling you can't do it this way.
So I have a apprentice that does plumbing, heating, and he's both certified as an apprentice as a plumbing and certified as an apprentice in gas.
Okay.
But he's not certified in air conditioning. So unless he's registered as an air conditioning tech, he's not technically allowed to work on air conditioning. Even though he's mechanically inclined, he's in the field, he's doing this, that, and the next. It's like, you should just have one registration, one apprenticeship, and then, okay, you have to calculate these other hours, but not to register in multiple different trades.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is you're putting a wedge between plumbing and refrigeration, or you're putting a wedge between plumbing and HVAC, or you know, whatever it is, right? But like, if you're mechanically inclined, at the end of the day, I always say it, you're mechanically inclined. You know, if you ask me to go work, if you're going to ask me to go hang an AC unit on a wall, I'm not oblivious. You know what I mean? Or if you tell me to mount a stand, I know how to measure it. I know how to put things where they got to go. I know how to put the drain for the condensate, you know. So it's hand in hand. So it's just mind-boggling to me.
Are you guys, like, in your opinion, the mechanical trades, right? So HVAC and plumbing and electrical, are you guys having the toughest time securing apprentices?
Getting apprentices isn't the hard part.
Getting
them, and then, so we have a problem with, I think, the whole realm of apprenticeship. I think once someone gets registered, they feel entitled to move around wherever they want to go. And there's no...
That's the mindset from them?
Well, they just... And I always say, like, if you move and this and that, okay, I can understand you moving companies and so on and so forth, you know what I mean? But there's nothing stopping someone from trying to train someone for 2-3 years and then them moving on, right?
Yeah.
But now it's become a game of poaching who's best, right?
And that happens
all the time.
Yeah.
There should be a way where if you're signing you come to Canada, you got to have a sponsor. That sponsor is responsible for you, right? They're teaching, they're making sure that you pay your taxes, they're making sure you get a job, everything else.
Yeah.
So as a electrical journeyman or company that's hiring an electrician apprentice or whatever else, any trade, doesn't matter. When you register with them, you should have to do your full 5 years with that company. You follow what I mean?
No, I agree with you. It should be that way.
Because it costs so much money to train someone. And once someone gets that, the next guy that offers them $1 or $2 more, which isn't even brought up, it's just too late, they're gone.
Yeah.
You know, they jump ship. And listen, I get that. It's a tough world out here, and you need to make more money, but there should be a limit on the apprenticeship. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the way I see it.
I agree with you. I 100% agree with you on that there should be more commitment. Like, they just got to follow through. Like, that's just where they want to start. They want to start this way, but you got a generation that's just like their mindset goes elsewhere.
Well, the mindset is money.
Yeah.
The trade is no longer being pushed.
The skill is not.
Well,
is it or is it?
I'm not even going to go there.
Why?
Because you almost have to be on every single job to make sure that everything is square and plumb. And
as a business owner, you can't leave them alone to just take.
Not as an apprentice, not first, second, maybe in the third, fourth year.
You're talking about plumbing level. You're not like, they don't know the basics on.
Like, it's just speed. I want to get home, but like, you're getting paid by the hour. Why are you in a rush? Just calm down, take it easy, do a nice job, take your time. You know, like.
But we're
not in a rush.
By the hour, they want to get out at a certain hour too.
Yeah,
like,
and to me, it's for me. If you want to be able to buy something without looking at the price tag, you can't look at the clock. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here with you here. It's what, Thursday midday?
Yeah.
Okay. I put some work aside. I made sure I make some time for you here. But my day doesn't end.
No.
I'm getting phone calls. I have my phone upside down here because if I see it, I'll be pulling it out. And it's disrespectful, right? But my phone goes on all day long.
Yeah, because you're running a business, right? But you
Absolutely.
have crews and you have guys and you have job sites and things don't stop.
They don't stop.
No.
No.
But you still have to fuel up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to regenerate. Like, I'm going on vacation. Monday's my birthday. I turned 40, actually.
Nice, man.
Thanks, man.
Let me know when you get 50.
Buddy. That 10 years from now, I'll be on your show again, I hope.
Man. No,
Thanks,
you totally
man.
would be. You'll
Appreciate
still
it.
be around, man.
So I'm going away. Like, my wife took me on my 30th to Vegas, and I'm going back there on the 29th. So I'm
Nice.
going to get away for, like, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then I'll be back.
But are you going to completely disconnect from the business?
There's no such thing. My phone is on my hip all the time.
But then how are you enjoying your 40th then? That's not enjoying your 40th. I'm just getting at it because, trust me, I'm the same way. It's irritating.
You know what? Like, I love what I do. Does it ever get irritating? Absolutely. You know what I mean? But that's just part of it. Like, I chose to do this. I chose to take this on. You know, but I wouldn't want anyone to step in my shoes. I don't think there's very many people that can handle what I do.
But all the apprentices that you probably speak to, without them saying it, they probably look at you and going, I'm ready to step into your shoes.
Oh, they could think that. Sure,
But they're not. We know they're not.
Wow. Listen, if I said this is a dog-eat-dog world, that'd be easy.
Yeah.
It's much worse than that.
They
have
don't
no idea.
They don't understand.
We spend so much money on marketing. We spend so much time on shows like this, podcasts, emails.
I remember
phones,
the last time you were on the show, you were talking about how you were quantifying the marketing expenses that you were putting attached to your business. How you were trying to figure out this is what we get,
right,
and this is what we were expecting to get in return.
So, I was on the phone yesterday with Dan Guest from Guest Plumbing.
Yeah.
He's opening up a school himself.
Yeah, he was
which
on the
is fantastic.
show. Yeah, he was on the show, and we talked about trades. Yeah, trade
right.
smart,
So he's got his own thing. It's going up in Hamilton. I'm a teacher before as well. I actually talked to Frank Spatone, who's another fantastic teacher at Humber College as well.
Frank Spatone?
Yeah.
There's a Frank Spadone, comedian.
Maybe.
Okay, all right. Maybe he's a teacher by day and he's a comedian by night. I don't know.
I think it's a T instead of a D. But anyhow, and at the end of the day, what you see on the outside is called the book's cover. They don't see all the inside. For instance, you start a business, you got to get business insurance.
Yep.
Okay? How much money did you make yesterday? Nothing, because you started today. So how much is your insurance going to be? A couple $100? Every single time your business grows, what's one of the number one questions that they ask you?
Your revenue.
How much money did you make?
Yeah.
Now, you think that they're not going to charge you more money for making more money?
Will.
So, we're $1 million company. I won't tell you how much money I pay in insurance, but it's a lot more than the guy that was a man in a van.
Yep.
It's not even about what I can do or what anyone else can do. You know, this month alone we have 2 statutory holidays, and some people will tell you, "Oh, you're thinking small-minded." Good Friday is a paid holiday.
Yes,
right?
It is. I know.
Easter Monday.
Regarding the Canadian rules here, yes.
Okay, so you got to pay your guys whether or not they're working on a job. So when you go to Mrs. Jones's house and you're charging her $250, $300 an hour, and she's wondering why, well, I had to pay him on Friday or Easter Monday, and he wasn't working.
But Mrs. Jones can hire somebody that's paying their crew cash and not factoring in statutory holidays.
Listen,
That's
you can do that all you
world,
want,
right?
But you're going to get that red light warranty for sure, too,
yes,
right?
Of course. They're not going to come back and take care of
see you
things
later.
and
Once
things.
they're gone, they're gone. And that's another thing, too. When you're a startup, you got nothing to lose. You got that van that you bought, who cares? Or you might not even be riding in a van. I mean, I started my business a Honda Civic, for Christ's sake, right?
Yeah.
So it's easy to quit.
You just start.
Yeah, it's easy to see you later, bye-bye for now. But I got over 3,000 customers. Could you imagine me going tits up?
No, you can't do that.
You can't do that. There's no way. There's too much. The business itself is worth too much to just let it go.
Do you create a graph in your mind or even heart of how many customers you got going on, what your growth is on the year previous, and then what you need labor force wise to actually make those 2 numbers grow? Obviously, you want more than 3,000 customers. Obviously, you want more gross revenue. But to do that, you need to increase your workforce or make them more efficient and educated more.
Sure. So there's two factors here. If you're in new construction, you don't need maybe 3,000 customers. You might only need 2, 3, 4, 5 builders, 10 builders at most. But if you're in the service industry, you need everybody possible.
Yeah.
However, can you maintain the amount of work steady to then
For your techs.
for your techs to grow? And then you have the catch-22 here. So let's say you have 4 apprentices. Well, there's 4 apprentices that got to go to school. So what do you do in their off time?
You're babysitting at that. Yeah.
So you can't carry too many people per se, and then when one goes, like you'd have to like offset them.
So what's the solution?
It all comes down to government. The government needs to know where everyone works and not make sure that, or to make sure that everyone can go to school, but not go at the same time. So let's say you got 4 apprentices, they all get called into school.
Yeah.
You just lost half your crew.
Then what do you do?
Then
Your work day, work week, what's it like now?
I'm running 24/7 right now. Like I'm working on the tools sometimes too, depending, because I have 2 guys that went to school.
What's the ratio in your business service between
We're like 90% service and 10% maybe renovations and new construction.
Really?
Maybe a little bit more on the renovations.
It didn't
but new
start that way,
construction,
did it? No. Was it the other way around when you guys started? You had to build the service clientele.
the service. So that's just it, right? So I did build it up slowly. Like I said, we started small, one, and it's doable. If I can do it, anyone can do it. However, the prices are way different than they used to be.
What's the core secret there, Elie, that for service? It's just customer relationships, right? Like you just got to nurture those relationships.
You don't walk into a customer's house with work boots. You got to wear boot covers. That's the basics. You roll out we
Respect.
call it the blue carpet.
Yeah.
Before you walk into, I'm being serious here. Like
Yeah.
we wear a uniform. We're organized. We have a CRM that costs thousands of dollars a month that makes sure that, hey, you know what? Bob is coming to your house at 9 a.m. Then they get a notification. But like I'm at an event. can't
Bob shows
afford
up
that.
at 9 a.m., right?
And oh yeah.
Right.
So there's a catch-22 with that. Our only must-have in my business is the 9 a.m. call. Because you never know how long that call is going to last. So we usually run 9 to 12 and then 12 to 3 and then 3 and on, right?
Okay.
But anything that's booked on at 12 or after, we always say this is the window between 12 and 3. And sometimes you might even run late on that. But the techs have the availability on our CRM to, contact the client and be like, hey, I'm just running a little bit late, so we're giving you a heads up. Yeah, it's professionalism.
How are you running the business when you got, I mean, I love that you got 3 windows of opportunity, and then you obviously, you have the 24-hour, right? So it's
Yeah.
like emergency services at that point. Tech finishes up at 10. They're off to what? Like they're just going to move on to another project, or they're on a downtime waiting for the next one?
A 10 what?
Like
AM?
if they, so if they finish at 10, like they finish it in an
So
hour.
we always if they finish early, like you could take your lunch early.
Got it.
You can contact the customer and say, hey, would it be okay?
If I come in sooner on the next
Absolutely.
one.
So
Yes.
if you say, hey, look, we're only putting in a toilet, it's going to take us an hour, maybe an hour and a half, let's say, but you're booked in for noon, do you think that you'll be home during that day? So that's where we are, right?
It makes a lot of sense to do it that way, right?
That's the only way that I saw that it worked well. And then we did this thing where we did offset shifts. So we do like, you're always 5 days on, but you'll have like a Thursday, Friday off, but then you work Saturday, Sunday.
For the emergency calls.
For the emergency calls. So then
Yeah.
it's always, you never get burnt out.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so Monday and Tuesday you would be off, and then the following guy would be off, let's say Thursday, Friday. So they'll work one weekend and then off. But it depends how many guys you have, right? So ideally you'd have to have 4 guys. So it's one weekend every week, every month.
Are you seeing, because I've had conversations with other plumbers before where the service side of the industry is so attractive that they're abandoning all of the regular rough-ins and dealing with customers and custom homes and all kinds of stuff, that they just look at service side is very, very appealing to them. Are you seeing more and more plumbers wanting to just devote themselves to that level?
Like I'm a plumber that talks to all the plumbers, whether it's Galaxy or Harb or all these guys that are in the service industry. And don't get me wrong, it's lucrative if you do it right, and there's no mistakes, no callbacks, no nothing. For sure. Don't get me wrong. Otherwise, no one would be in the trades, right? Like, we're not in business.
You're running a business.
Money.
You're making money.
Absolutely, yes. Right. So, at the moment now, I see that construction is going to stop. Interest rates are really hurting the country.
Construction is already slowing down badly.
So there's 40 towers that are on hold. And I have...
they haven't started construction yet?
No, they're not even going to do the construction.
Hang on, what part?
City.
Really?
Yeah, because people aren't closing on properties now as it is.
Wow.
So the assignment rates are like way up the roof. Like, you could probably get a property right now for... I mean, it's not a great deal, but it's a good deal compared
to what Toronto was recently.
Yeah.
Really, 40 of them, huh?
Yeah, there's 40 projects that were put on hold. I have a property up north. I won't say where because I don't want to, like...
Of course.
And they owe me for 2 properties that I put deposits on. Yeah.
Wow.
They're not being built. And we got really good deals at the time. Like a fully detached property for like 800 and another one for 850,000.
Why? Okay, so obviously, I mean, this is rhetorical, but why isn't the media letting this shit out of the bag, right?
Well, who controls the media?
Yeah, so that's the problem here, is because you don't want, I guess, general public being too nervous. If you start telling the public 40 towers just got stopped, we're not building them anymore, we got subdivisions, like that's what I kind of love. I love the fact that when I had Luca Bacci on the show, when he was the CEO of the OHBA, Ontario Housing Authority, and I challenged him on the 10-year plan about 1.5 million homes were going to get built.
Impossible.
And I said to him, it's just like absolutely impossible. It's never going to happen.
Not even half.
And sure enough, after that conversation happened, everything started crumbling. And now here you are, like into the second year, going into the third year, and you're reducing the amount of homes. But then you also got the politicians grandstanding and getting on job sites and forcing tradespeople to stand behind them as they talk about how we just signed a deal for 40,000 units here and they're being built. And I'm like, this is all hard. Like, this is garbage, man. This ain't truth.
So we're the largest landmass with the least amount of population. Right. We're what 38 million maybe?
Well, it's 41.
41 now?
When you bring in all your voters, yeah.
Okay, so 41 million people. How much does the United States have?
Well, they got that in California, but that's shrinking too because everyone's leaving California because
but they'll go to Florida though. They're going to
Texas. They're going to go to Florida, right?
Yeah, but they'll stay in America.
But yeah, so they're tickling 400 million people,
right? So
in a landmass that's like a third the size of Canada.
Yeah,
right.
Maybe half.
Smaller than Canada.
Yeah,
I'll leave it at
Canada,
that. But you're right. It's just like I think that there's too much emphasis, and I blame the younger generation. There's too much emphasis of wanting the Toronto dream. And when I say the Toronto dream is like, if you've been in Toronto for as long as I have, it's not a dream anymore. It's a nightmare.
Well, right now we have, man, we're going to get into politics here.
we don't have to. It doesn't matter.
No, it's okay. No, I'm
don't
with
worry.
you.
I won't get upset about it. Don't worry about it.
I love these guys here, actually. They have a really good product. I'll talk to you about it after. It's a press valve. It's a valve you can actually press onto.
I saw that. They showed it to me.
Save.
I know. So you can either solder it or press it.
That's right. Yeah,
I know.
That's a really cool thing.
Smart. It's totally smart. They have it here. You can see it. I know. Yeah. Totally.
Getting back to what you're saying, I mean, like, we're going to get this carbon tax. We only use 1.5% of the carbon in the world.
That's a whole fiasco.
And we're going to be paying, what, 25%? So I think it's like 20% plus tax.
We're getting
tax on tax, which
we're only contributing to a certain percentage of the global carbon.
Yeah, 1.5%. I think China's at like 40%.
We have the most amount of trees. By the way, the government officials, trees actually filter carbon. It's like we have the most trees out there. So obviously this tax is just all bullshit. But they continue doing it, and then we're letting them do it, which is a shame, right? My biggest gripe these days is the restaurant owners that are charging the tax on top of the tax now. So they're charging a fee because they're being charged the carbon tax. And I'm like, well, as a tradesperson, are you walking into your clients and going, by the way, there's a carbon fee here for you?
So one of our biggest expenses, obviously, are vehicles getting to and from places.
Which is all fuel. And you have no... If you're sane, you have no mindset to switch your fleet to an electric fleet.
Not in Canada's climate.
It doesn't make any sense.
If you're in America, sure, no problem. If you're in the southern state, then you're okay.
Sense.
But
the infrastructure's not there.
No, we don't have it.
And also, the carbon footprint would actually increase. We would increase our carbon footprint if everybody went electric.
I agree, because it's the cobalt that they don't have. It takes so much money and to mine, right?
Where is all this electricity being produced from?
We're getting into a big rabbit hole.
I know,
here.
but we're not solar powered initiative enough. We're not wind turbine initiative enough. So we're still using traditional ways of getting our power, right?
Right. So I have a house in an area called Lakewood Ranch in Florida.
Okay.
And the entire subdivision is run by solar panels. Every single house. But that's Florida. You get sun.
How many hours a day? And yearly.
All day, every day, right? So,
but in today's technology, Elie, don't you think that in today's technology, even though we don't get the hours of sun that other places get, you tell me that we can't pool our resources together to try to figure out how to capture the sun a lot better than we're capturing it today, in a more darker climate like Canada in the winter months, is what I'm trying to say. You telling me that we can't produce better quality sun-absorbing energy tiles of some sort?
If they made tiles that had something that melted the snow, then now we're thinking. But I mean, imagine how much money it would cost.
You're talking about like pavers. You're talking about pavers that actually will melt it or keep itself warm in the winter months.
Yeah, something.
Because the sun will hit it, and now you don't have to shovel. You don't even have to do hydronics there.
There you go.
You could just do. That's just a thought that. But I mean, that's what I'm saying is that the amount of technology that's being created, why is it not being forward thinking on our, instead of just taxing a nation of people to have this stupid mindset that you're going to reduce your carbon footprint because you're getting people to pay? First of all, the EV revolution is dead.
Oh yeah, it's hurting bad.
You can't spend.
You can actually get a Tesla now.
I know.
Before you had to order and wait, and I don't know
but
what.
You're still going to pay $100,000 when you factor in having to put the charger in the house, factoring in what you're going to spend at that point. And I guarantee you, all you EV people that are driving, you're going to start thinking about where I can plug my vehicle. I'm going to go to a coffee shop and plug it there because I don't want to be plugging it at my home because it's still going to be consuming power.
Yeah.
Because all the hydro rates are going to go through the roof now.
So they had. So we're both mechanical, right? So we had this program where if you put in these heat pumps, and all these heat pumps are made in China, by the way. If you put in these heat pumps, you get rebates.
It's all the rebate bullshit.
But these rebates are now done. So no one's going for them anymore. And then if you have a heat pump and you have a house, you need a furnace with a motor. So you're caught in a catch-22. Those heat pumps worked well if maybe you have only electric baseboards, because now you can get air conditioning at the same time.
now I just discovered who's been moving the camera. All good, Thomas. All good.
Maybe I'll get my good side.
No, all good. No, but it's just like I have this discussion all the time. It's like I can't stand government people in suits making decisions about people in workwear on construction sites. It doesn't make any sense, man. I'm not going to go talk to Ryan Gosling about landing on the moon. I don't care if he betrayed Neil Armstrong. I'm going to go talk to Neil Armstrong. So I'm going to talk to the tradesperson in the work boots instead of the person in the suit who I know is compromised because their mandate is not driven by the people.
It's all about the dollar sign.
Unfortunately, Canada is not a democracy anymore, which is a shit thing. So I will object. I will continuously object to any mandates that they keep on bringing forward on us. Heat pumps, kiss my ass. I'll never encourage anybody to put one in, right? It makes no sense. I want technology to come along. I was excited about Elon Musk and the solar panels, the shingles that he had. I was totally excited about that. That was years ago. Never happened. So we don't know what happened.
There's so much time and money that has to be consumed into creating something. Even it's like a drug, you know what I mean? It's got to follow all these protocols, FDA, whatever else, all this jazz, right?
But they're so quick to these things, though. Like, they're trying to push the heat pumps. They're so quick to get them out the marketing. Like, I look at it like back in the 80s. I don't know if you remember, but in the 80s in Toronto, hydro was so cheap, and you had a lot of landlords doing dwellings. They were separating them, and at the time, you couldn't use your forced air system to do it, so they converted them all to baseboard heaters. What happened to hydro in the 90s?
Skyrocketed.
And everybody was stuck with baseboard heaters, which are the worst heat that you can have, driest, give you health problems, and expensive, man.
Okay, so there's something called a cap rate, and this is going to go like way off, and I don't want to talk like an expert in that because I'm the plumbing expert, but when it comes to cap rate, it's based on, let's say, multifamily dwellings.
Yes.
Okay? So if you own a building and you don't have to pay for the heat and air conditioning for every unit, because if it's a boiler and air conditioning system or a cooling tower, okay, who's paying for that? It would be the homeowner or whoever's renting, right?
Yeah.
So that'll increase your cap rate because it's less cost. So a building is more valuable to you by making each unit metered separately.
Yes.
So as a building owner, do you care how they're getting it or how much it's costing you?
I only care about how much it's costing me.
Right. So at the end of the day, it's business, right? So when you're working with cap rates, multi-home dwellings, and things like that, especially with those heat pumps, getting all that money back, when you go to the bank to refinance a $1 million building and you're getting 1.5 or whatever it is because the cap rate is good for an investor, you're going to take that 500 and put it somewhere else.
Of course you will.
So money runs the world. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, it's as simple as that.
That's what it is.
But I mean, like, I had a property and it was split 3 meters, but it was all baseboard heaters.
Who was paying for it?
So each tenant was paying for it.
Right, so it doesn't matter that it's...
But it did matter because the rollover on tenant was insane, because as soon as they would experience a winter, especially a harsh winter, the rates were just astronomical.
So now we're talking Ontario.
Yes.
If you go to Quebec, I think 90% of it's electric.
Yeah, they're whatever stupid reason, they're mostly electric.
But they make the electricity, right? Like that's where it's generated. So...
Well, going back to such a large country, why can't we be producing our own energy?
That's because they're not allowing us to pump the oil.
Or maybe you have vested interest in other oil companies that are not Canadian-based.
Well,
so it's not in your best interest to pump oil here in Canada.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you an observation here, and this will
Thomas will like this one when he hears it.
Okay, I'll use Dahl because we're at their booth.
Yeah,
you're a builder. Bob's Building. Let's just say, because I don't want to use a real company. Bob's Building. If you use Dahl valves, we'll give you a kickback of 10%.
Of course.
Right? Dahl made their business. They got their 10%, and then you move on. Just like any engineer would say, okay, you got to use Masters for this, that, and the next. So what's the government doing? They're going to do the same thing.
Of course they are.
It's all in the interest of money at the end of the day.
When it should be the interest of the country and the interest of the people.
I agree with you 110%.
Like you got countries like Venezuela, and they're like, what's the fuel price there? Because they know what they're doing. Yeah. We had the sands here, and then all of a sudden you got everybody complaining about destroying the landscape, they're destroying the lands and all this other stuff. But we had such a rich amount of oil. We still do have a bunch of rich oil.
We're talking of where you can get it, and that's in Calgary. Imagine you going to Yellowknife. If you just made some roads,
we should be paying 5 cents for diesel. That's what we should be paying. 5 cents. We should not be paying what is it now? It's like $1.50 something for diesel.
It's in and around the range of gas, if not more.
So is Toronto going to see $2 eventually after this April 1st hike? Probably close to $2.
So we were almost at $2 during COVID.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember, it was like 180.
Yeah, but so now they're talking 23% increase at April 1st.
Plus tax.
Plus tax on top of that.
Yeah,
so that's what I'm saying is that you are going to see a leader, and you telling me that's going to convince people to go buy EV? That's going to convince people to change your furnace into a heat pump? It's not going to convince anybody to do any of that crap. You're penalizing people that are not doing wrong.
This is going to hurt the entire economy.
Yeah.
But the economy is already hurt. We got 40% of housing coming up for mortgage renewals in August.
You got stoppages in construction, so that basically, I mean, you're busy, but other people are not busy. It's a mixed bag right now. You're getting tradespeople, some are busy, a lot of tradespeople are submitting quotes and not getting any work from it. Like they're getting 11 quotes and not a single bite.
I'm seeing a lot of contractors that had contracts on the go, and then the
Pause.
consumer is saying, let's put that on ice.
Yeah.
But can you blame the consumer?
No, you can't.
You can't.
You're getting deposits be refunded because you want to be in good standing with the client still, so you don't want to hang on to the deposit.
If you're a good contractor, yes, you're going to do that.
You have to.
But there's some contractors don't even take deposits. And hey, Sam, how you doing?
Yeah. You're next.
Sam the plumber, he's awesome. Yeah, I agree with you.
But but you're doing it because of the relationship, because you know that, okay, so hopefully things start to turn. That client might turn around and go, listen, we're ready to do this now. We feel financially comfortable that we can make this happen. But you did that in good faith, hoping that conversation will happen. Will that be 6 months, a year, 2 years? We don't know.
I love that word, good faith.
You have to.
Good faith is the good old days.
Exactly.
Hi, I'm Elie. I'm going to take care of you. This bathroom rental is going to cost you $15,000.
So where do those days disappear to? Those days disappeared to.
Oh, those are gone.
When you had people come into the industry, when other economies were struggling, and everybody became a taillight warranty tradesperson.
That's right.
They bought a bunch of tools. Remember the kits? Remember Home Depot always sold little kit?
Yeah. They bring them in on the weekend.
Yeah, the little tiny one, whatever. Most of the time it was rigid power tools. But you had those guys come in, and they would pretend to be that great salesperson on good faith. They would burn the client, and then the client burned the industry. The client grouped the entire industry under those same people. And we keep fighting that all the time.
It's a dog-eat-dog world. You don't know who to trust. You don't know who to trust, what to follow. There's a lot of stuff that's online where, like, you're talking about positivity, negativity, all the whole, rainbows, and it's not all rainbows and lollipops.
It's harsh,
it's a hard world, and the problem, I think, and this goes back to the new age people, is they haven't seen tough times. This is going to be the first time.
COVID wasn't tough.
Not compared to what's coming in the next couple months.
I agree with you.
Especially if there's going to be another election.
Well, there is another election happening, right? It's a question whether or not that election is going to be stolen, or if it's going to be done correctly. And even if it's done correctly, Canada still will not be repaired in the time that person's going to be in term. That's the scary part.
Well,
Too much damage has been done. You cannot create a deficit in this country in 2 terms, greater than all of the previous prime ministers of this nation. You cannot do that and get away scot-free from it.
The hard part is, as much as I love the Conservatives, is that people are not going to like them when they start making cuts. They're going to have to make cuts in education. They're going to have to make cuts in healthcare. They're going to have to make cuts in things where there's people that that have children in daycares and things like that. They're going to have to cut all of that stuff.
If they're smart, they're going to have to dramatically cut government.
Listen,
the amount of increase in employment that the Liberal government did in the 8 damaged years that they did, going on 9 years, the amount of new workforce people that they gave, like just stupid new jobs, just like taxpayers funded jobs, they're going to have to cut all that crap. So get rid of all that. Trim all the fat off of government.
The way that I see it is you have to run the business kind of like, I hate to say it, but Trump's always been a good businessman, right? You got to start from the top down.
Yeah.
When you have a baseball team, hockey team, who do you fire first? The coach, the manager, the guys at the top.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with Bob and Joe that's going to work 40 hours a week. They didn't do anything to get us here. Like,
who's the recently elected? Was it not Venezuela? What was the other South American country? The one that recently, he's just been making up a stink around the world. He's just been like cutting all kinds of stuff, and he started.
El Salvador?
Was it El Salvador? I can't remember his name. He's got the crazy hair. He's got like all kinds of curls and whatever, right? But he was just like, I respected him because he was on a commercial flight with everybody else. He didn't fly private. He didn't fly in his jet. He didn't do any of that. He was on a regular commercial flight.
So
Economy.
If you follow anybody that is successful and treats their children the way that we should treat, everyone coming up, so that they see realism. Like, I'll just say Kevin O'Leary.
Yeah.
Okay? Kevin O'Leary. He sits in first class. His kids don't sit in first class. What did you do to deserve to sit in first class? Right?
It's a good point.
So, you sit in the back, I sit first class. I earned this.
Yes.
It comes back to apprenticeship. What did you do to earn this?
You'll get to that stage.
That's right.
One day, but there's a process to get to that stage.
Everybody wants to. Everybody wants to get to the finale without the hard work. Nobody wants to put in the work. They want to forget about the journey and just get to the finale.
How many more years you figure you got before you hand this off?
I'm 40.
Step back a little bit. Will you ever hand it off and wipe clean from it?
I'll never be 100% clean of it. I love going to work. I own my own shop. You know, I like going in. I have my coffee in the morning. I set up. Usually I have 1 or 2 guys come into the shop during the day. We'll have a little, you know, sit down, chit chat, figure out what's going on during the day. I love that part of my business. I used to love being in the homes, meeting people, working with what Jim said, right? Like, I love watching that guy. I've been watching him since I was yay high, right? Like the rest of us, right?
Yeah. It's the relationships.
100%.
The conversations. Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel like, okay, COVID changed that a little bit. However, I still answer my phone calls to the best or worst client. You know what I mean? And they love it when I answer, or, oh, am I getting Elie? Some of them call me Elliot or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, how you doing? It's been a while. How can I help you? What is it? You know what I mean? 100% I'll never be out. But I'd probably say 15 years, maybe 55, give or take.
It's about right. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, even if I was still working in the union, I would have been retired at 55, 56 with a full pension.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that I can get there on my own.
Now, so you're heading down the retirement path because you want to get to the point where you can survive the remainder of your years. Hopefully they're decades, not just years, because the average right now is talking about 11 years before you kick the bucket from the time you retire, right? So you work your ass off for all of your life to have 11 so-called years that are going to be good for you, right?
The quality years.
But I mean, I think that a lot of tradespeople, you should get out in your 50s and you should focus on other things and enjoy your life and you never know, try other adventures. Simple as that. I'm sure that you're probably going to be thinking about other things you want to try. You're not going to stop. You're not going to be on a beach, right?
I pivoted a lot. I think we talked about this last time where I turned it into the mechanical.
Yeah.
It was already named mechanical, and I am a gas fitter and everything else. But my showroom, when we shut it down, I turned into a golf simulator.
Yeah, you mentioned.
So right now what we've added to that is, and that's fully automated, by the way, so I don't actually have to physically be there. I spent every money. I always tell everyone, invest in yourself, whether it's going to school or putting it towards something where you can make more money. Like I heard this saying once upon a time, okay, you have to make your money work for you. Yep. So my golf simulator is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
You're making money while you're sleeping.
You can make money. You're not always, but you can, right? Yeah. So there's the opportunity. It's just you have to think outside the box. I always try to think outside the box. So what we've done there is I've actually was able to keep an office, keep a mezzanine, and then grab a storage unit and turn the back of my shop into a multi-sport simulator. I'm in an age in my life where I have a 12-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-month-old, right? So when you're in our area, there isn't anything for them to do. So it works in two ways. It's good for my children and other people's children.
Yeah.
I'm still, full on the plumbing expert, but what makes you think that you can't do something else?
You can.
You can. Yeah. So I'm like, no matter where I retire, how I retire, what I do,
the wheels are spinning.
My wheels are always spinning.
Yeah. And you should be looking forward to that.
100%.
And I think any kid that's listening and they're looking to get into this industry, you should already be thinking about how you're going to get out of this industry, because that day will come one day. We don't know when.
Listen, on Sunday I went for a shoulder MRI. Okay, so my left shoulder, it's not torn, but there's something in there. I go see the doctor during the rest of the week. I used to be in high rise, so it was always cast iron over your head, heavy, this, that, whatever. It's been dislocated the whole 9 yards. Yeah, and my knees are shot too from sleeving, working in high rise buildings, knocking down cans and putting pipes through them. Anyway, long story short, your body will deteriorate. We're not,
perishable. I know.
So if you work and you have a good mentor, I do things a little different. So I always bring in someone from like cooperators or from a real estate place or something that can bring in, like I brought in Work Boot Consulting not too long ago, Rick Harris.
Okay.
To teach the guys, okay, this is what you could do, this is how you can do it, and this is what you can do with your money, and so on and so forth. This is what you can invest in, this is what you can, because we're lacking in education in different hubs.
Financial education.
Terrible.
Yeah.
So the co-op student I had the other day, he comes up to me and goes, yeah, I'm going to look at an ATV. I'm like, how much is that ATV? He goes, $700, it's an 88. I said, $700. What do you make an hour? He goes, minimum wage, because he's a co-op student, doesn't get paid through us. It's credits. And I said to him, what do you make? He was like, minimum wage. So how many hours do you have to work to make that $700? So do the math. It's around 47 hours, something like that. I said, that's 47 straight hours. That's if you were getting paid cash. So you're probably talking double that. You're talking probably close to,
2 weeks.
2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Where can you put that money to make you money to buy something that is going to make John Durbano, I think that's the guy's name.
Yeah.
I love that guy. I swear to God, follow him. He's genius, right?
Yeah.
I think everyone should follow that guy. I think everyone should listen to what he has to say.
He's planting seeds. You should be following up. Do your own homework.
100%.
And just understand that there's other things to consider.
Exactly. So I'm not saying don't ever go and have fun. Take that money, make some interest, use the interest. Your original it's like when you go to like a casino. You know, you take $100. If you make some money, you take your 100 out, put it in your pocket. Now you can go play with the rest. I'm not telling people to go gamble.
But basically that's how you do the work. Then you know that you always have that money.
That's right.
And you're taking some risks.
Yeah.
And then you can possibly make more money.
100%.
Treat it the same way in your business.
I always say this. I'm not even Italian, but the Italian way of thinking back in the day was, because I lived in Malta, was mainly Italian, Portuguese, and stuff.
All of that.
If you don't have the money for it,
you can't buy it.
Don't buy it. Right? If you're already counting your eggs before they hatched.
Well, isn't that what Jay-Z said recently? I think he was saying that if you don't have the money to buy it twice, then don't buy it.
I heard that once upon a time. That's been a long time.
Yeah.
I'm not Jay-Z. I wish I was. He's a billionaire, that guy.
I know, he's a billionaire. But I mean, if you don't have the money to buy it twice, then don't buy it.
Right.
So, I mean, the guy's looking at an ATV for $700. He's thinking, basically, bare minimum, I can survive and buy this.
That's right.
But why do you want to survive and buy this when you could probably put that money elsewhere and maybe make money off of it and then buy it?
Right. So, I think I'm following the old ways. Listen. What goes up must come down, right?
Totally.
100%. So I'm following.
We haven't even gone down yet in Canada here. That's the problem.
You're going to make me cry soon.
I'm just saying.
I know.
We haven't.
Exactly.
I agree with you. This generation has not felt what we've already felt in the past.
Yeah.
And we survived it. It was hard, but they haven't even felt it. It's coming.
We
start working on your relationship skills, man. Like these kids are going to have to beg for opportunities, whether it's shadowing, making ends meet. Like, you think you're being picky now to get a job? You better make a lot of friends. You better leave a great impression.
I think the last 23 to 24 years, I'm going to go back to what I was saying, is less is more. How do I say this? Not like not less work, not less money, but less overhead per se, right? So
less needs,
less wants. I used to carry a lot of stock. I took during COVID, we were able to buy a lot of we weren't allowed to buy a lot of products, so we had to buy product and store it, and we were carrying a lot of weight on our shoulders for just in case, right?
Yeah.
You know, we were standing in line outside waiting for sump pumps. Like it was crazy. So we bought like dozens and skids and this and that, and then so. I'm learning in life to try to just do less is more. Less aggravation, more of this, more relationships, like you said, more interactions with the people that, how we originally started. I don't know if I ever told you, but when I started my business as the plumbing expert, I went to a home show the Toronto home show.
Yeah.
And I was giving out my business cards that was just black and white print, like a little pipe wrench on it.
To people that were just walking around?
That were at the booths, walking around, and then that's how I started it. Now, things are a lot different. You can't do what we did then. It's not just door knocking.
But you can do other things. You can come up with other ideas.
Absolutely.
That's the one good thing that this younger generation, without them even realizing it, they have these skills and they just are not applying them. They could be thinking about new ways of doing things, man.
I love what you do when you're like talking about, I'm not following these people that are like going after the tool, this, that, whatever.
The influencer bullshit.
This is the problem. Everybody wants to be an influencer. Everyone wants you to buy something off their Amazon or their this or that. Follow my link. I don't know what. I'm not into all that. I've always found that hard work pays.
It does.
If you don't work hard, you're not getting paid. Period. That's all there is to it. And if you want to get paid more, do more, make sure it's seen, make sure it's known, and you will get it, right? If you just ask for it and you're not doing anymore, what's the purpose of getting you more?
I'm not a fan. Like, okay, I'll say that the social media game was late to construction. And when I say that, because we all saw this in the early days of social media construction, you know, like I grew tens of thousands per year, and I had videos that were getting 500,000 views. Once they would jump on a concrete video in Russia or someplace in the Middle East, over 1 million views, and you're like going, this is just concrete point. This is just absolutely stupid, right? Those days are done, buried, they're gone. People don't get that traction anymore because IG, Facebook, Zuckerberg, he's the one that has capped all that stuff. So we don't get that traction anymore. So I look at it like the social media part of construction is being abused. The same way 20 years ago, after Jim left HGTV, that HGTV started abusing the construction industry. When I say the abusing is that they made celebrities out of individuals that never gave back to the industry.
Well, they left.
They left, but the problem is the ones that stayed had no interest in building the industry. But you got net worths that are like, I don't know exactly what the number is.
Mike Holmes is worth $25 million.
No, it's over 50.
Oh, now. Oh, okay,
and then, you know, Baumler's over 30. Scott is around the 30 range as well. The Property Brothers are probably even higher.
Yeah, but Scott still does construction stuff. He does, if you see him and you follow him, he has like multi-family dwellings where you can actually invest in his work.
Yeah, he's doing that whole real estate side of the business there, but it's benefiting him. It's not benefiting the industry.
Listen, no one's going to do just something that just benefits unless they get a little bit of benefit out of it. Like if you told me, hey, listen, come join me. Like,
Elie,
I know.
What show is this that I'm doing right now?
I know.
You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm not trying to toot my own horn or something like that.
Absolutely.
But these individuals abused the industry to capitalize on building their net worth, but they never gave back to the industry. Jim still takes calls from people. I get people reaching out to me saying, "Man, do you think Jim will talk to me?" And I was like, "Here's his number. Text him.
Get in hold of him. Yeah.
He will answer it. He might text you, go, call me in an hour. He will speak to you." And he goes, "Are you serious?" He will speak to you. Jim's not being compensated.
That's the gap.
Huge gap.
That's the gap.
But these guys are worth 50 plus mil, 30 plus mil. They could do so much for the industry, and they don't.
So
that's the part I have about influencers and them, where they abuse the industry. The moment you abuse the industry, I'm not interested in it.
So you and I can talk about ourselves, whether it's, okay, you know, you took your time to go teach, or you took your time to go teach co-op, or you took your time to produce these videos so that way people can see, you know, real life, real talk, everything that really matters.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate, but who's going to control that?
You mean my end or their end?
No, our end is good. I mean, I think you're on the good end.
There is no interest to control it.
Right. I mean, I was introduced to that but I walked away from it. So I think.
What do they say when someone is successful and they make a lot of money? It amplifies who they truly are.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
That's what they say, right?
Yes.
So these individuals, they just got amplified on who they truly are. They just were motivated on making money off the backs of the construction industry, and they just saw the construction industry as a viable revenue stream for them.
Right.
But they keep forgetting the millions of people that hard work in this industry.
So I think when you become like, and I just told you I walked away from it. So they wanted us to do like work for free or something like that.
Of course, that's always the case. Yes.
So I said no, I can't do that. I can't afford it. I got a young family. I'm not going to get part of that.
Good for you.
And but I don't think once you get there, you're in this industry anymore. You become now in the entertainment industry.
100%.
So the way they see it is now I'm acting. I'm no longer in the trades, in the trenches.
But they don't see it that way. They still see themselves as if they're one of us, and that's why they get upset when I tell them, you guys are performers. You're not tradespeople
It's
anymore.
no longer blue collar.
No, it's not.
You're now into the white collar.
But what I don't like is that you're misrepresenting what this industry is all about. And do you see them walking around this trade show right now?
You won't see any of them.
You won't. You only see them if they're being paid to be at a certain booth to endorse a certain product, right? So it's just like, that's what I mean about, you guys have built such a net worth. just give back a little bit to the. I had so many shows on this show, yeah, like yourself, and I had Aaron, and I had Sam's coming on the soon. Romeo from Mechanical is going to come on here, and I'm hearing everybody, you guys, all talking about giving back to the industry. Everybody's talking about doing little things, giving back to the industry, all these little tiny things, and I'm like, you think that these individuals that are multi-millionaires off of the back of the construction industry are sitting at home right now going, what can I do for the construction tradesperson right now? That fucking statement doesn't come out of their mouth. Never. That statement changes, it translates to, where else can I make more money off the back of the construction industry? That's the statement that comes out of their mouth. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Right? I'll never waver from that opinion of mine.
I don't disagree with, like, almost anything you ever say, and that's why I always come back on your show. I hate being caught on camera or saying something. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, like,
I'm gonna have a show like Bob. You follow Bob Baker, eh? Out of Calgary. Yeah. So he's been getting a lot of flack from the influencer crowd lately, and I always touch base with him. I always like talking when I see some of his videos, and I'm like, dude, you didn't say anything negative. You didn't say anything that I disagreed with you, man. So I was like, I think, Bob, you got time? Come back on the show. We gotta have a conversation. I want to talk to you about certain things that are going on, right? But I also, last night, I had a great conversation with somebody else that reached out to me, and they're like, I respect you, I respect what you've done, and have you had Bob on the show? I was going, yeah, check it out. He's been on the show before, and he goes, well, I don't like the heated argument between him and this other guy. I think we should be turning another cheek and not putting down each other. And it was that influencer plumber argument.
You know, the problem in today's society, it's a double-edged sword. So if you do it or you don't do it, you're in trouble.
Someone's going to attack you.
Someone's going to attack you. You're always walking on eggshells. You always got to be politically correct.
I'm too old for it. I don't give a shit.
I hope that you stick around forever and ever. I hope you outlive me, man, honestly, because we need people like you. I hate to say the word that I'm scared of any of that stuff, but I'm a person that always like to be liked. That's the person I am. But I'm not saying that's right or wrong, you know. It's just this is a mother thing, you know. If you don't have something good to say, don't say it.
It's as simple as that.
That's
so
it.
People, like, mothers never taught keyboard warriors that.
Wow.
Mothers didn't have keyboards to think about that.
9 times out of 10 now, everything on Instagram and Facebook is anonymous.
It's just ridiculous
It's
now.
anonymous.
And all I do now is I don't engage. I don't argue. If you want to call me a piece of shit, you want to tell me I'm wrong, then by all means you have the right to do that. I won't block you. I don't care about it. Like, you want to do it, do it. I don't care. I care what people that I respect, like yourself and a lot of people that have been on my show and a lot of people I've engaged with on social media, I respect what they have to say about what I'm doing. If I've done something that they truly feel has been wrong, then I will listen to them and I'll respect their opinion about that. But I haven't done that yet.
There's always a nice way where you can have a cordial conversation.
Yes.
Right? Like, I sit down with people that believe in different things than I believe in. You know, whether it's politics, religion, this, that, and the next. And listen, hey, we can agree to disagree, man. No big deal.
But those conversations are important.
They are important.
Most people these days are afraid to have those conversations.
I don't mind having the conversation. I don't know if I like it being recorded or anything like that because, you know, then people are like, oh, that's what you think. That's why.
Taking it out of context, man. I don't care about that. Elie, it's always a pleasure to see you, man.
I appreciate you, man.
Thank you so much for making the time. I know you got to check out the show. Sam's here. He's going to be coming on next. And thanks, man. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure to see you, man.
You too, man. Take it easy.
Take care. We'll talk to you.